Hey friend, hit subscribe. It takes you a second, but it means the world to me. And please leave a comment on the Rio Revenge Stories channel telling us which city you're watching this story from. That really helps the channel grow. Thank you. My youngest tugged my sleeve while the librarian handed out paper crowns to the kids. Dad, he whispered. That's Mom. I looked up, ready to laugh it off. But my throat locked. The woman sitting cross-legged in front of the storytime group had the same voice, same tilt of the head, the same way of pressing her lips when a toddler squealed too close. My skin went cold. Tara. Gone 5 years. She's gone, but... I murmured, but I was already sweating through my shirt. Before we go further, write in the comments where you're watching from, and how your day's been so far. My name's Mark Benson, 41, print shop owner on Colfax Avenue in Denver, Colorado. 3 kids. 2 boys and a girl. And since Tara's death, a house that never feels warm enough. I told myself it was coincidence, a stranger who looked like her. A sane man doesn't freeze over a children's book reading. A sane man remembers the urn on the hallway shelf, the one sealed after a quiet church memorial in 2020. The bulletin from that service still sits inside my desk safe. 2 hymns, no flowers, her rule. The woman today had called herself Claire on the event board, according to the librarian later. She smiled at a little girl and handed her stickers. My son, Eli, couldn't look away. She saw me, he said later in the car, gripping a napkin from the snack table. She smiled like she knew me, Dad. I took them all for fries afterward. Tried to talk about school projects, the hamster, anything else. Didn't work. Eli kept describing the way she breathed in before laughing, exactly like his mom. That night, after the dishes, I stood in front of the hallway shelf. The urn hadn't been touched in years. And I remembered the one sentence from the church office back then, due to permit delays, a symbolic vessel may be substituted. Tara's mother, Helen, handled the paperwork. I'd been numb. Just nodded and signed wherever she pointed. She left town right after the service. Too many memories, she said. Never called, never sent a card for the kids. I sat at the kitchen table and did what I always do when the world stops making sense. Made a list. What I know, Tara Benson, declared dead August 2020. Memorial held at St. Luke's Church. Symbolic urn. Permit never processed. What I don't know, who that woman was today. Why she looks and sounds identical. Why my son keeps seeing her. What I can verify, library staff names. Video footage. Event registry. The paper filled fast. My hand shook harder than I wanted to admit. At 6:15 sharp, my father called. Ray Benson, retired Air Force, still wears a tie on weekends, still runs his life by mission clocks. Time for you to find someone softer for those kids, he said. Not cruel, just factual. They need warmth. You're all steel, son. He wasn't wrong. I hung up, tucked Eli in, checked on the twins, Liam and Grace, then sat back down at the table. I stared at that urn until my eyes burned. The label at the base said "Esh not verified." I'd read it 100 times. Never cared, until now. I opened a new page. Wrote ask about cremation permit. Contact St. Luke's Records. Check library video request form. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. The pen left smears. By morning, I was at the library 10 minutes before they unlocked the doors. Sky dull gray, air sharp with October wind. I gripped a gas station coffee like it might anchor me. The children's librarian taped a flyer to the glass. Early 30s, neat posture, quick eyes. Paige Harlan. You're the guy from Saturday, she said. The boy who wouldn't blink. That's us, I managed. Weird question. Who was the woman reading to the kids? Paige didn't blink. Volunteer. Name on file, Claire Denton. Corporate event manager. Kansas plates. Quiet, polite. Always brings her own sanitizer. My chest tightened. Tara had been an event manager too, same tone, Same job title, before the hospitals, the paperwork, the endless calls from insurance adjusters. Eli appeared behind me, silent, pointing at the bulletin board. A glossy flyer, gala at the Skyline Hotel, hosted by Claire Denton. Gold foil, looping script, logo almost identical to the ones Tara designed back then. Paige saw my face change. "We keep camera archives," she said softly. "Public building. You can request a copy." While I filled out the form, name, date, time, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Chicago area code. "This is Marla Voss, claims investigator with EquiShield Insurance," the woman said. "I need to confirm details about a suspended life policy under your late wife's name." I froze. The policy, $240,000, closed years ago. "Someone reopened it last month," Marla continued. "Same social, same birth date, different signature. Executor name just changed." The pen rolled out of my fingers. Paige overheard enough to understand. She pulled out a binder, flipped to a section marked Records Requests. "You'll want a city permit inquiry and a cemetery file," she said. "I can't file them for you, but I'll show you where to click." I nodded, pretending my pulse wasn't hammering. When we left, Eli pressed his hand to the glass door. "She'll come back," he whispered. "She always comes back." Outside, traffic hissed on wet asphalt. The sky felt too low. At home, I added a new line to the list: someone's using Tara's name. And under it, if she's alive, what else was fake? The clock read 10:42 a.m. 5 years gone, and the story was just starting to breathe again. 5 years gone, and the story was just starting to breathe again. Next morning I showed up before the library even unlocked. Same gray sky, same smell of wet leaves. Paige waved from inside, still holding her coffee cup like a stopwatch. "I pulled your footage," she said once the doors clicked open. "You'll want to see this." She slid over a monitor. The image was grainy, black and white, time-stamped Saturday morning. There she was, Claire. Kneeling beside a toddler, smiling, then turning just enough for the profile to show. The jawline, the posture, the small habit of touching her necklace when noise got too loud. Tara used to do that, always the necklace when she got anxious. Paige paused the frame. Looked at me, then at Eli. "You okay?" He didn't blink. "She saw me." His voice cracked. Paige turned down the volume like that could protect him. Before I could breathe, my phone buzzed again. Marla from EquiShield. "Mr. Benson," she said, straight to the point. "We confirmed an active executor update. Name matches Helen Grant." My throat tightened. "Helen?" "Yes, same date of birth, new address on a cottage property listed under Brookside Lake Cottages, Lot 29. Filed this spring. Final inspection 12 weeks ago. Brookside. That was 2 hours south." Paige leaned over my shoulder, scanning the email that popped in right after the call. "You should request the permit file. Public record." I nodded, already writing it on my pad. Brookside, Lot 29. At pickup that afternoon, Eli came out of school with a half-peeled orange in one hand and his folder in the other. He looked nervous. "She was there again," he said quietly. "Between the shelves. Her hair was down this time." My chest went tight. "Where exactly?" "In the kids' section." She smelled like lemon cleaner again. That smell hit me like a blade. Tara used to wipe the counters 3 times a day with lemon spray like it was holy water. We drove straight to the library. Paige was still there shelving returns. She took one look at me and pointed toward the back room. "Come with me." She queued up the weekend feeds. 3 camera angles. The footage flickered. There, the woman again. Smiling, turning, brushing hair behind her ear. Paige froze the frame and zoomed in. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. My face did the talking. Then Marla's name flashed on my phone again. I stepped into the hall to answer. "Mr. Benson," she said. "We cross-checked the cremation paperwork your mother-in-law filed. The facility listed as Ridgeway Crematory shows no record of intake that week. You're saying they never received anything. Which means either someone faked the form or faked the death. I pressed my hand against the wall to stay upright. Paige's voice floated from the next room, calm but firm, talking Eli through a puzzle like nothing had changed. When the call ended, I found Paige at the desk. She didn't ask for details. She could read it on my face. "We'll keep the footage backed up," she said. "External drive, separate folder." Before I could thank her, movement outside caught my eye. A woman hunched over a tote bag by the glass door, gray roots showing under auburn dye. "Helen." She looked up, saw me, froze. Then bolted for the side exit without a word. I didn't chase her. Just stood there watching her disappear into the parking lot, my hands trembling. That night, after the kids were asleep, I added to my list. Helen seen at library. Claire Denton, event manager. Insurance claim reopened. Footage confirms match. The list looked like evidence now. Every word felt heavier. I didn't sleep. I kept staring at the hallway shelf where the urn sat, empty, symbolic, and mocking me. The next morning at exactly 8:14, Paige emailed a subject line that just said "Start here." Inside were links to public records, templates for requests, and one short note: "Found permit under Helen Grant, Brookside Lake, Lot 29. Separate mailing address." I hadn't told her about that address. She found it through open records. That's when it hit me: Helen wasn't hiding. She was signing things in plain sight. By lunch I couldn't stand the waiting. I pulled up at the kids' school early. Eli spotted me through the glass doors, surprised. "We're heading home," I told the teacher. She didn't even ask for ID. Everyone knew me. As soon as Eli buckled in, he said, "She'll come again, Dad. I saw her near the parking lot." I gripped the steering wheel. "You sure?" He nodded, quiet but certain. She waved. The stoplight ahead turned red, and I swear it felt like the whole city froze with it. When we got home, I went straight to the hallway shelf. The urn caught the afternoon light. Inside it was nothing but air. I whispered it before I even realized. "If she's alive, we were all part of her plan." My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. This time, a man's voice, calm, legal, cold. "Mr. Benson, this is Reed Carter, counsel for certain parties you've been contacting. Consider this a notice. Any further claims or statements could result in defamation and interference charges." My jaw locked. "Who are you representing?" He didn't answer. Just said, "Cease your investigation," and hung up. For a long minute I stood there, the phone still in my hand, listening to the empty dial tone. Outside, the wind rattled the porch chimes. Inside, the house felt smaller than ever. I looked at the list again. Crossed out "Ask about permit." Wrote something new underneath. "They're watching now. They're watching now." I spent the night in the living room chair, phone face down, lights off. The list sat on the coffee table, half-filled and useless. At 7:40 the next morning, I saw her again, Helen, crouched outside St. Andrew's thrift sale on Colfax. Bent over a box of old fabrics like she was searching for treasure. I parked across the street and walked over slow. She wore a faded church sweatshirt, hood up despite the sun. "Helen," I said. She jerked like I'd hit her. Her hands froze mid-motion. "I'm not here to fight," I said quietly. "I just need to know. Is she Tara?" Her eyes went glassy. The color drained out of her face. "Don't," she whispered. "You don't want this." "I already have it," I said. "There's an insurance claim under her name. $240,000. My son saw her twice." She smiled at him. Helen looked at the ground like she was reading something written in the cracks. "Don't let her talk to the kids," she said. "She'll have reasons and lists and policies. Always does." My voice rose. "Stop speaking in riddles. Just tell me." She swallowed hard. Her voice cracked. "She faked it, Mark. The words hung there like smoke. She made me help. The urn, it was empty. The church allowed a symbolic vessel. I signed the forms. I was weak. I stepped back, pulse in my throat. You let her disappear. And she had, what, another family? Helen hesitated, then nodded. A little girl. Evelyn. Looks just like Eli did at 4. Tara said we'd lost the baby during delivery. We didn't. She took her. My hand shook so hard I had to grip the edge of the folding table. So she's alive, with another child. Helen's eyes darted toward the church doors. She's not raising her, Mark. She's using her. My phone buzzed again. Shop line forwarded to my cell. I answered without thinking. Mr. Benson. A man's voice said smoothly. Read Carter again. You've begun making false allegations. That's interference. Cease immediately or face civil exposure. I tightened my grip. You think threatening me will stop this? He didn't answer directly. You're out of your depth. Walk away. Then the line went dead. Helen's face went pale. That'll be him, she said softly. The fixer. He keeps the plates spinning. Why now? I asked. Why call me now? She rubbed her forehead. Because you're too close. And she's scared. And scared makes her cruel. I couldn't stand there any longer. I turned away before my voice broke. By the time I reached the library, the world felt tilted. Paige was behind the desk, stacking returns. She looked up and saw the color on my face drain. What happened? She asked. I told her everything, the insurance, Helen, the child, the call. She didn't blink. Didn't pity me. Just listened. Then she set her coffee down and opened her laptop. I don't do drama, she said. I do plans. She typed fast. You're pulling Eli out for a week. He'll stay at my place. No library posts, no check-ins, no photos. I'll mark him as volunteer project. No one tracks a ghost if the ghost goes offline. That's a big ask, I said. You barely know us. She met my eyes. This isn't an ask. It's logistics. Across the room, Eli was at the puzzle table, watching us like a cornered animal. He looked small. Too small for any of this. Pack what you need, buddy, I said. You're staying with Miss Page for a few nights. Page gave a small nod, already typing something else. An hour later, my father pulled up to the shop. He still moved like it was basic training. He placed his old brass key box and a stopwatch on the counter. Write the new routine, he said. Then hand it to me. I started listing out loud. Page takes Eli at 7:30. I open the shop at 8. No unknown calls. No contact with Helen. No answering Carter. He folded the paper and slipped it into his pocket. That's better, he said. Now act like you mean it. When he left, the shop felt hollow. The hum of printers sounded too loud. Page texted 15 minutes later, a photo of Eli asleep on her couch, her cat curled at his feet. For the first time in days, I exhaled. Not relief, just a pause before the next storm. Then my email pinged. Page again, a PDF packet. Templates for city requests, permit searches, cremation records. The last line read, Hazel Grant co-signed Brookside Lake Cottage, Lot 29. Final inspection closed 12 weeks ago. I stared at it until my eyes blurred. The fake memorial. The missing ashes. The empty urn. Someone had built a lie big enough for all of us to live inside. The next 2 days were quiet, too quiet. Paige kept Eli at her apartment, away from windows and routines. I worked half days, closed the shop early, made lists I didn't finish. My father stopped by every morning, same words each time. Stick to procedure. By the third evening, everything started to move again. Marla from Equishield texted, need to talk. Urgent. Then a second message followed, meet me by phone, private line only. When I called, her tone had changed. Mark, your wife's old employer, Brandon Imports, shows up on 3 flagged registries: antiquities smuggling, counterfeit art, shell charities. You printed their materials, right? Yeah, I said slowly. Gala banners. He paid cash. Then you're closer than you think, she said. And one more thing. Someone logged a location ping under Helen's name near Brookside Lake. Same cottage address. Before I could respond, another text arrived. Unknown number, no name, she wants to meet. She'll be transparent. A drop pin, Brookside Lake, Lot 29. I stared at the screen. The word transparent didn't sound like Tara, it sounded like a contract. When I called the number back, the voice answered steady and measured. Let's set boundaries first, she said. I'm not bringing anyone, I told her. But I'm not coming blind. Agreed, she said. I'll share live location. You record if you want. Full accountability. The call ended. Paige stepped out of the kitchen, towel in hand. You called her. I nodded. She wants a meeting. You're walking into a setup, Paige said. She doesn't do truth. She does control. I'm not going for her, I said. I'm going for answers. Paige returned a minute later with 2 paper maps highlighted in yellow. Coverage ends after mile 24. Go slow. Don't be obvious. She slipped a portable charger into my pocket. If she says the word clarify, that's your cue to leave. It means she's rewriting the story. I didn't argue. My father texted one line, keep your weight over your feet. Military for don't flinch. Lot 29 sat just off a gravel road that circled the lake like a noose. The cottage looked peaceful, porch light glowing, toys scattered, basil pots by the window. A stainless coffee machine gleamed through the glass, the same model we once tried to afford. I knocked once. The door opened immediately. She'd been waiting. Same hair pinned back, same eyes that measured value before affection. No tears, no reunion act. Just a nod toward the kitchen table. 2 mugs sat waiting. I made the coffee this time, she said. No decaf. I didn't touch it. First, she began. Scope and risk. Her voice was business again. I'm not here for a project, I said. No, she agreed. But you're not here to scream either. Let's be adults. She leaned back, calm as if we were negotiating a contract. Malcolm Brandon paid me a retainer, she said evenly. I booked venues, handled invoices. I never touched the cargo. And the art? I asked. He moved it in decor trunks. Lanterns, table runners. I didn't ask. Her face didn't change. I managed paperwork, not ethics. The memorial? I asked. She took a slow sip of coffee. Symbolic vessel. Transfer paperwork omitted intentionally. The church allows exceptions. You never died, I said. She tilted her head. You exploit systems by knowing which forms matter. Everyone does. I stared at the cup in front of me. Steam curled like memory. Against every instinct, I took one sip. French roast, bitter, familiar. She smiled, small, satisfied. She's stable, Tara said suddenly. Evelyn. Bright child. I made sure of that. Children are assets with attachment points. You just need to know where to plug in. The words made my skin crawl. She kept talking about structure, risk, compliance. About how Helen was too emotional. About how Eli needed stability. Her voice didn't crack once. You're sweating, she said calmly. Heart racing? You put something in it, I said. She didn't deny it. Just folded her hands. You always react emotionally first. That's your flaw. A noise came from the hallway, a door creak, a voice low and sharp. Paige. He's blue. Then my father's voice, steady, military quiet. Heart's dropping. Call it in. The room spun sideways. My knees hit the floor. Tara moved fast, reaching for my jacket. Then my father burst through the doorway, grabbed her wrist, twisted hard, shoved her down. She screamed once. He didn't flinch. "You're done," he said. "You hear me? You're done." Paige knelt beside me, pressing something cold against my wrist. I heard the click of a medkit, the buzz of a phone on speaker. Tara's voice came from the floor, glassy and distant. "You still don't understand the structure." Then everything went black. When the world came back, it came in fragments. A pulse beep. A light in my eyes. Voices layered like static. Then my father's hand on my shoulder, firm, grounding. "Easy, son," he said. "You're at St. Luke's. You made it." The nurse adjusted the foredrip. The air smelled like disinfectant and burnt coffee. "How long?" I asked. My throat felt made of sandpaper. 40 hours, he said. "They flushed you twice. Trace sedative. Something that hits slow." He didn't have to say her name. I already knew. The door opened. Paige stepped in wearing the same denim jacket from the cottage. Sleeves rolled, eyes sunken from lack of sleep. She set a small cardboard box on the table beside the bed. "Marla dropped this off," she said quietly. "From EquiShield." Inside were folders, labeled, dated, color-coded like evidence. Each tab told a story. The first file showed a claim reopened for $240,000. The second showed a beneficiary change to Helen Grant. The third contained a secondary policy filed under the name Evelyn Denton. I pulled out the last file. Birth certificate copies. Same hospital, same date, 2 infants logged under the same attending doctor. One listed as deceased. One as transferred. Paige leaned closer. "Look at the signatures. Both signed by the same hand. Tara's." My father exhaled through his nose. She split the paperwork. "Claimed 1 child lost, 1 born under a new alias." I nodded slowly. "And no one caught it." Marla's voice echoed in my head. "Antiquities, smuggling, shell charities." The web was wider than I thought. "Police?" I asked. Paige shook her head. "Local detective filed it as a domestic incident. He's not touching it without pressure." Marla said Federal's watching, but quiet. "They want full chain evidence." I sat up despite the forepulling. "Then we give them chain." Paige opened her laptop. "Already started. She used your print shop's EIN on half her contracts. That ties her business alias to your license. That's enough for probable cause," my father said. "But we need proof of movement, financial or physical." Paige clicked again. "Brookside Lot Utilities switched names 3 times in 5 years. The current one? Malcolm Brandon. He died last month in Mexico. No record of return." My pulse jumped. "She's cleaning house." Paige looked at me. "And she'll come back to finish it." The nurse entered again, adjusting the monitor. "Try to rest," she said. But I couldn't. Every image replayed. The cottage, the cup, her voice saying assets with attachment points. By evening, Marla herself arrived. Mid-40s, steady eyes, blazer wrinkled from travel. She laid another file on the tray. "Mr. Benson, this was intercepted at the postal hub," she said. "It's a corporate dissolution request. She's moving the funds into a new trust under Evelyn Denton. Executor, Helen Grant." I stared at the line where Helen's name sat under Tara's signature. Marla continued. "You're listed as former spouse, no contact. Once this clears, she's free." My father stood. "So we block it?" Marla nodded. "Already in motion. But she'll know by morning. She'll run or she'll retaliate." I looked at Paige. "Get Eli somewhere safe. Out of the city." She hesitated. "And you?" I finished what she started. The room went silent. The monitor clicked with every beat. My father didn't argue. He just placed his old stopwatch on the table, the same one he used when training cadets. "When the second hand stops," he said, "you make your move." He left it running. Later that night, The hallway lights dimmed to amber. The nurse shift changed. Somewhere a door clicked. Then another. I sat upright. The box of files still beside me. Something inside had shifted, papers that hadn't been moved before. Under the folders was a single folded note. Same handwriting I'd seen on every form she'd ever signed. It said only one line. You still owe me transparency. Then everything around me went quiet again, except the sound of the stopwatch ticking beside my hand. Morning came like a bad habit, too bright, too clean for what waited. I signed myself out of the hospital before sunrise. Paige texted once, "Eli's safe. Don't call. Don't lead anything back here." The parking lot smelled of frost and exhaust. My father's truck was already running. He didn't ask if I was fit to drive. He handed me coffee and a folder. Inside were 3 names: accountants, brokers, lawyers. She used them all, he said. Fronts for transfers. We hit one today. The address led to an office park south of Denver. The receptionist glanced up when we walked in, then froze when she saw the badge my father kept from his Air Force contracting days. It still worked better than a warrant. In the back office, a man in a blue suit sat sweating over a stack of ledgers. "I can't disclose client data," he began. "You already did," I said, dropping the fake certificate on his desk. 2 infants, 1 cremation, 1 transfer. Who processed the payout? He blinked. "I don't know what." "Try again," my father said quietly. The man's hands shook as he reached for a folder. She moved the balance into a child trust. Half through Equishield, half through a Cayman account labeled E.D. Foundation. "And the rest?" He swallowed. "A holding in your name." She framed it as marital residual. "On paper, you're complicit." The air went still. My father's jaw tightened. "That's her shield. If he reports her, he reports himself." I took the file. "Not anymore." We left without another word. By afternoon, Marla called. We traced her vehicle. "She's heading west, storage unit off I-70. Probably cleaning evidence." "I'm closer," I said. She paused. "Then record everything. No confrontation." But confrontation was all that was left. The unit sat behind a half-closed gate, the lock freshly cut. I stepped inside. The smell hit first: paper dust and cold metal. Boxes stacked to the ceiling. Each labeled by year, each with my shop's logo printed in the corner. Invoices. Event receipts. Bank statements. And beneath them, framed photos of Claire, at fundraisers, smiling beside wealthy donors. Her signature on every check. I heard tires on gravel. A door slam. She was here. Tara stepped into the doorway, coat collar high, face unreadable. "You shouldn't have come alone," she said. "Neither should you. You're making this messy." "It already was," I said. "You used my company. You used our son's name. You used your own mother." She looked almost bored. "Everyone uses something, Mark. You used grief." The words landed like glass. "You framed me. I protected us," she said. "If they traced the funds, they'd see your print license. That made it cleaner. You poisoned me." Her eyes flickered, first hint of emotion. "Only a test dose. You needed to pause." Behind her, another car pulled up. "My father." "Marla." "Paige." She realized too late. "Step away from the boxes," Marla ordered, phone raised. "We've got live backup." Tara's eyes darted between us, calculating. Then she smiled, small, chilling. "You think this ends here? You don't even know who signed the final transfer." She ran. By the time we reached the exit, she was gone, tires screaming, dust rising behind the treeline. Marla knelt beside the box stack. Inside, at the bottom, lay one sealed envelope stamped with Equishield's crest. She opened it carefully. A single page. Signature: Helen Grant. Beneficiary: Evelyn Denton. Executor, Mark Benson. Paige whispered. She left you holding everything. I looked at my father. Then we finish everything. The stopwatch on his wrist clicked once. The second hand stopped. Part 7, TDS ready. 3 months later, the courtroom smelled like stale air and printer toner. Tara sat 2 tables away, wrists bare, hair cropped short. No expression. No apology. The federal prosecutor read from the folder we built piece by piece. Fraud. False death filing. Child identity manipulation. Poisoning attempt. Each charge like another nail in the story she'd written for herself. Paige testified first, steady, factual. My father followed, precise, military calm. Marla presented the digital trail that linked every contract, every transfer, every alias. When my turn came, the room went silent. I buried air, I said. I raised 3 kids who believed their mother was gone. I signed her death papers and trusted the system that let her vanish. Now I'm just here to close the loop. Tara didn't look at me. She looked past me, to the gallery, where Eli sat between Paige and my father. His small hands gripped the edge of the bench. He didn't flinch. The verdict took less than an hour. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing deferred pending federal review. When the judge left, I didn't wait for the bailiffs. I just stood there, breathing the same recycled air that had carried her lies for years. Outside, the wind smelled like rain on warm concrete. Paige handed me a small envelope, the same one from the evidence box. You should see this, she said. Inside was a trust reassignment form. Marla had finalized it that morning. Every dollar from Tara's old accounts was redirected to a scholarship fund under the kids' names. Not for her legacy, for theirs. I watched Eli chase a paper cup across the courthouse steps. Grace called after him. Liam rolled his eyes like older brothers do. Normal sounds. Real life again. Paige looked at me. You could rest now. My father nodded once. Or rebuild. I glanced down at the envelope, then at the sky. Maybe both. We walked to the parking lot. For the first time in 5 years, the horizon felt open. As we reached the truck, Eli slipped his hand into mine. It's over, right? He asked. Yeah, I said quietly. It's over. The wind caught the edge of the envelope, lifting it for a second before it settled against the dashboard. It was blank on one side, and on the other, a single printed line. Executor, Mark Benson. If you liked the story, subscribe. New stories every day on Real Revenge Stories.